Gloating ISIS fanatics celebrate Sri Lanka attacks as revenge for New Zealand mosque massacre as they praise suicide bombers in online propaganda. Islamic State supporters are celebrating the Sri Lanka Easter suicide bombings. No group has yet claimed responsibility for the attack which killed 290 people. Site intelligence group said is fanatics have praised the attacks on social media by Jessica Green for Mail Online published 10:02 BST, April 22, 2019, updated 17:45 BST, April 22, 2019. Islamic State supporters are celebrating the Sri Lanka suicide bombings which killed 290 people on Easter Sunday and left around another 500 injured. Fanatics were also said to be praising the terror attacks as revenge for the Christchurch mosque shooting. No group has officially claimed responsibility for the blasts at five-star hotels and churches, but Sri Lankan police say a previously unknown Muslim extremist group were the subject of an intelligence warning 10 days before. Site intelligence group director Rita Katz said his supporters have applauded the attacks on social media, celebrating casualties. ISIS militants marching in Raqqa, Syria, in 2014. This year the fundamentalists were driven from the last land they occupied, but security experts have warned of pop-up terror cells. A view of St. Sebastian's Church, which was damaged in the blast in Negombo, north of Colombo, on Sunday morning. Early evidence points towards Islamist group National Tawhid Jamaat, NTJ, according to intelligence chiefs, who warn that more attacks are expected. Rita Katz, director of respected terror monitoring site intelligence group, said his supporters have applauded the attacks on social media, celebrating casualties. Ms. Katz said his media channels were posting rampantly about the blasts and praying may Allah accept the suicide bombers. She claimed that the online praise indicated the group may be preparing to take responsibility for the attacks. Sri Lankan security officials said they were investigating. Police immediately sealed off the areas, pictured, St. Anthony's Shrine. A map showing where the 8 blasts went off, 6 of them in very quick succession on Easter Sunday morning. While such a claim may frame the op as revenge for New Zealand, this was likely planned long before, she said. Australian-born Branton Tarrant is facing 50 counts of murder and 39 counts of attempted murder after opening fire on 2 mosques in Christchurch on March 15. Fighters from Sri Lanka have been mentioned in ISIS ranks and the country would be easily accessible for fanatics, Ms. Katz said. Several Sri Lankan Muslims from well-educated and elite families were known to have joined the terror group in Syria, according to Reuters. The attacks follow just weeks after ISIS launched a global military initiative branded the revenge invasion as payback for the loss of their territory in Syria. Police have so far arrested 13 people over the Sri Lanka attacks, describing those in custody only as religious extremists. 10 days ago, according to documents seen by the AFP news agency, Sri Lanka's police chief Pujit Jayasundara issued an intelligence alert to top officers warning Islamist suicide bombers planned to hit prominent churches. A crime scene official inspects the site of a bomb blast inside a church in Negombo, Sri Lanka, which lost half its roof tiles with the force of the blast. Security forces inspect the St. Anthony's Shrine after an explosion hit St. Anthony's Church in Coachchicade in Colombo. Wreckage. Sri Lankan security personnel inspect the damage at St. Anthony's Shrine following the Easter Sunday bombing. A foreign intelligence agency has reported that the NTJ, National Tawhid Jamaat, is planning to carry out suicide attacks targeting prominent churches as well as the Indian High Commission in Colombo, the alert said. The NTJ is a small radical Muslim group in Sri Lanka which has no history of mass fatal attacks, but came to prominence last year linked to the vandalism and desecration of Buddhist statues. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe admitted that information about the attacks had been received in advance but denied having direct knowledge himself. We must look into why adequate precautions were not taken. Neither I nor the ministers were kept informed, he said, following intense anger in the community. Manisha Gunasekera, the Sri Lankan High Commissioner to the UK, has said 8 British nationals were killed in the attacks. 3 of the near-simultaneous blasts targeted worshippers attending Easter services on the holiest day in the Christian calendar. Families on holiday were massacred by 3 further explosions at luxury hotels in Colombo as they sat down to enjoy breakfast at around 8:30 a.m. Sri Lanka's foreign ministry said the bodies of at least 27 foreigners were recovered. Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt condemned the horrifying attacks which he said had killed several British nationals. Further fatalities are said to include 3 Indians, 2 Turks, 1 Portuguese citizen and an unknown number of Dutch and Chinese nationals. Sri Lanka's defense ministry has now ordered curfew with immediate effect until further notice while access to social media messaging services has been shut down. In Colombo, St. Anthony's Shrine, a Roman Catholic church, the Cinnamon Grand, Shangri-La, and Kingsbury hotels were targeted in the first wave of explosions. Sri Lankan soldiers secure the area around St. Anthony's Shrine after a blast in Colombo on Easter Sunday at the Shangri-La. Security camera footage showed 2 men detonating devices in the Table 1 restaurant and a hotel corridor. Other blasts hit St. Sebastian's Church in Negombo, a majority Catholic town north of Colombo, and at Zion Church in the eastern town of Batacaloa. Later in the afternoon, 2 died in a strike at a hotel near a zoo in the south of Colombo, before a suspected suicide bomber killed police officers in the suburb of Arugota in the north of the capital, as police moved in on the suspected terrorist's safe house. In all, 13 suspects were arrested. Sri Lanka Defence Secretary Harsha De Silva said, "Horrible scenes, I saw many body parts strewn all over." The terror attack was Sri Lanka's deadliest violence since a devastating civil war in the South Asian island nation ended a decade ago.